Hey guys, welcome back. Let me update you on how I ended up leaving everything behind and moving to China. I was living a peaceful life in Vietnam, enjoying Vietnamese coffee, the amazing weather, and the wonderful people, when suddenly I was offered an exciting career opportunity in China. That's when I found myself sitting on the fence, trying to figure out if I should stay or go. On one hand, I had freedom, the chance to travel, a manageable workload, and just enough money to live happily in Vietnam. I was even planning to move to Da Nang and continue exploring the country. But on the other hand, the opportunity in China offered more money and perks at the cost of my freedom. I felt really torn about what I really wanted to do at this point in my life. So, I decided to travel to China as a tourist to see if it was what I needed right now. Most of you probably don't know, but I had lived in China for 3 years before and during the pandemic. At some point, I got really tired of all COVID-19 rules, so I moved to Thailand, traveled, and pursued my online teaching career. So, going back to China now would mean earning more money but sacrificing some of my freedom. And I spent 2 weeks there with friends exploring the food, accommodation options, and the lifestyle, and I can't wait to share my insights with you. The first surprising discovery was, well, it's not really surprising, but I forgot how quiet it is in the city center of a massive city like Shanghai. I had completely forgotten that most vehicles are electric. After living in Vietnam, where the streets are always buzzing, this really caught my attention. And it's super clean, very few people outside during the daytime. My friend has a dog, and we took a walk in a nearby park, and I noticed that most places are dog friendly, including convenience stores. So I'm staying at my friend's house these days, and I'm helping them to look after their dog. It's pretty fun, and it makes me realize that I also want to have a dog, but I guess the concern is that we don't have a house yet and we're moving a lot. So this would make our dog feel uncomfortable. So we're just going to help our friends with their dog so far. Do you have a dog, and how much attention does it require? Because I'm looking after my friend's dog now, and I feel like it requires a lot of attention if you want to have a happy dog. This was so different from Vietnam, where I often saw signs saying dogs weren't allowed. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I also know that Vietnamese people love dogs, and I always see dog owners taking their dogs on the bikes. So I know that Vietnamese people love dogs, but I'm not too sure that a lot of restaurants allow dogs in and convenience stores. So, since I've lived in China before, I already have a lot of friends here and I miss socializing with them. The first thing they did, they invited me to a hot pot dinner. I was brave enough to try duck gizzards, pig's brain, which tasted like tofu, and liver. Crystal, what is it?
猪脑.
What does it mean?
If you eat it, you will be very smart.
At the end of the meal, a guy came over to show off his noodle pulling skills. It was fun to watch, but honestly, I think the noodles from a small street side shop taste better. Let me know, would you be brave enough to try pig's brain? Besides hot pot, I had boiled eggs and rice dumplings, and everything I ate was surprisingly tasty. When I first moved to China, I didn't like Chinese food at all because it wasn't anything like the wok noodles and fortune cookies you see in movies. It's completely different experience. So actually, when I moved to China for the first time, that was the first time I tried real Chinese food, and I was shocked. But this time it goes pretty well. When I came back to China, I felt nostalgic walking along those beautiful streets. However, the one thing I didn't miss was the taxi drivers. I I never had problems with drivers in Vietnam, but within 24 hours of arriving in China, I had my first argument with a taxi driver. He was yelling at me. He was, "Hey, give me the number immediately, otherwise you can't go." I was like, "Here is the app, please help me to find the number." He's like, "Oh, 我不知道, 我不知道." I was like, "Well, if you don't know, how can I know?" He ended up just yelling at me, and he said, "Hey, you have to leave." So since Shanghai is so big, it takes 12 to 15 minutes for a taxi to arrive. So I've been waiting for him for 12 minutes. Then he rejected. He said, "Hey, I can't take you." I had to call another taxi. So that's when I started missing Vietnamese bike taxis, because they're fast, they arrive in no time, and they're super convenient. I really love bike taxis. It felt really strange being a tourist in a city that I consider my third or fourth home. People's Square has lots of convenience stores, and as some of you might remember, I used to complain about convenience stores in Vietnam. The architecture in Shanghai reminds me of Western cities, so I didn't really feel like I was in China. But that's only in Shanghai. If you go to a smaller place, you wouldn't feel this way. I tried to experience the local lifestyle, and I decided to do what locals do. I rented a bicycle, it was easy to use, and the streets were gorgeous. I rode through a French district and later took a walk where I stumbled upon a crowd. They gathered at the best spot to take photos of Jinan Temple, and it was definitely the best spot to take those pictures. So if you come here, you should definitely check it out. Since I'm considering moving back to China, I decided to check out apartments. I wanted to live a bit away from the city center to enjoy parks, peaceful atmosphere. I visited one apartment for 5,800 RMB plus 10% service fee, but I didn't like the ground floor location and the odd layout. Then I checked out our old apartment in the heart of Shanghai. Surprisingly, it had become cheaper, but it was still too small. Finally, I looked at a 2-bedroom apartment for 6,200 and a 10% service fee. And they wanted a quarterly payment. So let's say if you don't have enough money to pay for 3 months plus 1 month deposit, 4 months, you're screwed, because everything is done through apps, so you can't negotiate. But they do give you coupons, but they're not like, it's not a lot of money. It's not a very big discount. So after my trip, I realized a few things. First of all, the lifestyle in China is great, with plenty of parks, entertainment, events, and activities. This is what I need at this point in my life. Everything is super accessible and doesn't seem to cost much more than in Vietnam. The cash-free payment system is incredible. You can leave your house with just your phone. A lot of my friends live here, so it feels like home, especially with all the barbecue parties and gatherings. So after weighing the pros and cons, I chose this lifestyle over freedom. That doesn't mean China is better than Vietnam. I will always have a special place in my heart, and I will definitely be back to explore other cities. It just means it's time for a new chapter. If you're a teacher or you're curious about teaching in China or my relocation struggles, leave your questions in the comments. I'll do my best to share everything I know. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for your support, and see you in the next video.